Hey everyone, it is August, and that means it is almost time for our competition season to begin. Maybe some of you are feeling excited and ready to go. You went to camp or you just really put in the work on your own. You found your pieces, you have them cut down, you have your introductions written, you've done your character work, you have done your blocking, you are ready to go and put on that suit and slay at the first tournament of the year. Or maybe you're one of those who is starting to feel overwhelmed and a bit panicked at the thought of the competition season getting started. It is totally okay if you don't have your pieces picked out yet, but it's something to start thinking about. And while I understand how overwhelming that can be for a variety of reasons, maybe you're feeling a little bit burnt out because you haven't been able to find something. Maybe you've been looking all summer and you just haven't landed on the right one. Maybe you keep promising yourself you're going to start looking and cutting and prepping, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened yet because summer and procrastination are more fun. Or maybe you just don't even know where to begin. Regardless of why you don't have a piece picked out, now is a perfect time for you to start to get your mindset in the right place so you can enjoy the process from beginning to end. So here are my top 4 tips on finding pieces for oral interpretation this season. The first, get offline. Admittedly, I know that the internet is a great resource, especially if you're looking for something really specific. Maybe you know that you want to do an autobiography about a person of color who overcomes anxiety in public situations. It's going to be a lot easier to find your list of potential pieces by going to Google, and I get that. But when it comes to the online search strategies, you also kind of limit your options and what you'll find. Maybe you don't know what you want to search. Maybe you're not sure what story you want to tell. Maybe you're worried that if you look up the top 2023 autobiographies, you'll get the same list that everyone else is getting, which is why I encourage you to take the search offline and do it a little bit more organically and even old school. When I was in high school, we used to love to have book dates with our team. We would grab a coffee and we would go to the library, because you don't have to spend money for this. Or we would go to Barnes & Noble, or we would go to Half Price, or we would go to a local independent bookstore. And we would spend a few hours just seeing what was there. This allowed us to be surprised by different titles, see stories we never would have found online otherwise, and really explore a wide variety of styles, genres, voices, so that we could really focus on being struck by inspiration instead of cultivating a search for a specific story. This also, I think, allows you the opportunity to engage in literature in a more fun way. It's fun to find a title and a story that sounds interesting just for the sake of the story, as opposed to this must be the one for me this season. So I really do encourage you, take the time to get offline, go to a bookstore, be patient with the process. And also, this leads us to our next tip. Explore new genres. Of course, we know that autobiographies often make great material for dramatic interpretation, but take the time to explore the entire store, because you never know what you might find in the kids section of the library, or the young adult section, or the humor section, or the thriller horror section. And fiction has a wide variety of different tastes and styles and voices. If you stick to the genres you're most comfortable with, you can miss out on some really wonderful stories. Take romantic comedy. We all know the tropes are always the same: boy meets girl, girl meets boy, stress, confusion, miscommunication, heartbreak, and then they get it together in the end and they fall madly in love. But there could be an interesting version on it, or a new take. Maybe it's the perfect place to make fun of the romantic comedy trope as part of a POI, or celebrate the predictability of storytelling in a prose. Or maybe it's just a really fun story that you can tell with your friend in a duet that has a surprising amount of heart and depth. Don't write off an entire genre because of what you assume you know about it, because you could find something truly wonderful. There are really complex, interesting, meaningful themes that you can find in children's literature. Take the time to explore it, not just for HI, but for a duo, for a duet, for a potential heartbeat piece in POI. There are so many different opportunities. And when you allow yourself to explore beyond your comfort zone, you're going to allow yourself to discover new titles, new works that will make you better at what you do in speech and debate. My third tip for successful piece finding is let yourself be surprised. I know that might seem like it's the same as exploring new genres, but I really mean it. Let yourself be surprised. Go ahead and pick up a book based on the title. Does it sound interesting? Read the synopsis. Is it something for you? Maybe it's not, but maybe it would be great for one of your teammates. My teammate is the person who found my DI my junior year for me. It wasn't me. And it was their exploration of just, this sounded interesting. It seems like something you could do. So I thought I'd pass it off to you. That a level of work as a team where we focus on exploring things for the idea of letting ourselves wonder about the title. Our curiosity drives the exploration of literature, as opposed to our competition driving the exploration of literature, is really where you're going to start to find the new and interesting stuff. I also think that this is a great way to break new ground when it comes to finding topics for oratory, info, and POI. Go to the nonfiction section. You'd be amazed at all of the different topic ideas you can get in 5 minutes or less just from scanning the titles and the brief synopsis on the back. And my final tip for you is newer is not always better. It's easy to be drawn in by the new releases, the New York Times bestseller, the shiny, pretty look of the hottest topics, the hottest books, the best writers. But literature exists for a reason, and part of that is the fact that it reflects different pulse points on our society. And looking at the over 20 years I've been in the activity, plus all of the different continuity we can see in terms of what stories we're drawn to as people, there are so many different books and short story collections and plays and poetry collections from the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s that are still relevant today, perhaps even more so. And sometimes the true secret to finding a unique, interesting piece is the idea that go back to the older stuff. No one's dusting those off. It's why I really encourage kids not just to go to Barnes & Noble or Half Price or the local independent bookstore, although I do encourage that. Go to your library, look for older titles, because you might find the perfect story that encapsulates what's going on in our society in a language and voice that you truly resonate with. And it's not from 2024 or 2023 or 2015 or 2020, right? Whatever the year, it's not that you can only look at the new material. Sometimes people are most successful when they go back and explore the stories that have already been told. So those are my 4 tips for you. Get offline, explore new genres, allow yourself to be surprised. And newer is not always better. Hopefully this will make the exploration of literature and finding a piece process more organic and more fun, allowing you to find what you want through inspiration instead of trying to craft the perfect piece with just the right search terms on Google.